Hey guys, it's Syama here for another one-on-one live consultation. I'm very excited that we've been able to do these. It's been really fun to get to meet different brands, get to see how people are doing with their strategies, really all of those different kinds of components around what it means to launch and scale and have an active brand is one of those things that's so difficult to do, especially during these days. One of the things that I found to be so wonderful that I've seen during the time of Corona and during the time of this quarantine has been community. There have been so many amazing brands out there, thought leaders, people who've been really standing for connection and really to be in service of one another. And so in that component, I think it's really great that we get to do that. And so part of that spirit has been doing these live one-on-ones with a lot of brand owners. So I'm going to go ahead and bring on board Corey, whose company is called Confidant International. So Corey, I'm going to go ahead and bring you on board and would love for you to give us a little bit of an intro and tell us about your business.
All right, let's see if I did that properly. Hey, how's it going, Corey? How are you?
I'm doing very well. Sayama, how are you?
Awesome.
Good to meet you.
Doing all right. Likewise, likewise. Tell us a little bit about your business. Tell us what's going on.
Absolutely. And first, just some gratitude. I've been watching your videos for some time and just really appreciate the value that you give and the insight.
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful to glean some gems today. So I'm a counselor, and I have been for the last 20 years, and I love what I do, and I wanted to work smarter than harder. And I realized there were other communication specialists in the same line of work as myself who really wanted to sustain their careers in a more profitable way. And so I created Confidant International. And so the idea is offering up first class counseling to high net worth individuals who basically could really use somebody not only to talk to, but somebody to lean into when they're having
Mm.
challenges, be it death in the family, divorce, marriage,
Wow.
parenting. You go down the line of these issues that we all deal with. And so that's the idea, is creating this
Got
world-class
it.
platform where people can really benefit from having somebody on hand that they can lead into and connect with.
Mm. Amazing. How's it been going? Like, I'm sure everyone these days is like, needing someone from your perspective to
Yeah.
to be able to lean on. What have these last few months been like for you?
Well, as a solopreneur, it's been very
Mm,
busy with my own private practice.
mm,
So that I've been able to handle, and it's been um, a lot of people right now are sort of bouncing off the walls because not only are they quarantined, but they're
mm.
quarantined with family members or people
Sure.
that, after a while there's some emotional wear and tear.
Mm,
So I'm able to help with that. But what I want to do is to be able to empower these other trainers so that they are also helping people in trying times like this. So that's
I
really
see.
for me where I want to take this.
Okay, got it. And what do you want to talk about today? What can I do for you?
Basically, from the idea of having like what I would consider a really good idea, and of course, that's where
Mm,
all businesses start. Just your insight about taking it from idea mode. I'm the chief cook and bottle washer right now, to taking it to something where I have other people that I'm matching up with clients and really being able to scale the business to a profitable place. Because as an
mm.
individual, it's profitable, but I want to up the ante, as it were.
Sure. So do you have any methodologies that you've created that are like unique to you?
Any methodologies you mean in terms of how I work with the clients or in terms of the business
Hmm.
aspect of it?
Yeah, in terms of how you work with clients. So normally
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like the way I think about it is there's a reason why people come to you. There's a reason why people want to
Yeah.
work with you.
Yeah.
But in order for them to work with other people on your team, they kind of need to understand what's your methodology? What are the things that you
Yeah.
do that are scalable? So have you
Yeah.
identified what those are?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, there's a skill set, there's a methodology that I use that my colleagues use called nonviolent communication, and it's a world-renowned process, conflict resolution process created by
Mm,
a psychologist named Dr. Marshall Rosenberg about
mm,
30 to 40 years ago. And it's
mm.
world-renowned, it's really well known, and it helps people in terms of de-escalating conflict and connecting people
Hmm.
with themselves. So that's the methodology or that's the technology that we're using in order
I see.
to help clients.
So then it's possible then, I guess, when you're thinking about scaling up, are you kind of imagining um, a team of other counselors and coaches who are kind of also working underneath you?
Exactly. So they are the
Got it.
confidant, and I'm sort of the middleman now, and now I'm doing the connecting
Got it.
them with identifying clients that can really
Got it.
benefit. And what I really enjoy is that each specialist is different. So they may specialize in helping
Hmm.
people because they happen to be parents, therefore they're able to
Sure.
help people. They may be having a history of divorce, so therefore
Hmm.
they can extend themselves to a client who's just going
Hmm.
through a divorce. So the
Got
idea is
it.
to really create a custom fit with the person that they're helping.
Cool. So what's the roadblock? It sounds pretty easy. It's like find some people who've been trained in this methodology, who have unique and variable experiences that you
Yeah.
can match to inbound customers. What what's the pain point here? Because it almost seems too easy.
Yeah, well, I can tell you what the pain point is for me. The pain point for me is being clear. I recognize the idea of specificity and niche has its place. And
Mm,
so I'm at the point now where I'm ready to jump in with both feet. And I really think for me, it's about having the courage and the wherewithal to say, okay, here's my strategy. Facebook ads, Instagram ads. This is how I'm going to make my footprint known on LinkedIn
mm,
and to go to places and
mhm.
spaces to really let people know about what we do.
I see. So it's more of a communication and marketing pain point than like an infrastructure issue. Got it.
Exactly.
So when you're thinking about so when I think of communication and marketing, I oftentimes think of what the brand is and kind of like what is the brand known for? What are your visual assets? You know, what's the language that you use? All of that.
Right.
I happen to have your website up. So when you are kind of looking at positioning to a customer, you know, the thing that I think is so important here is to really make sure that you are landing visually and verbally kind of with the customer that you're looking to match with, and then all of your assets and communication are all kind of stemming back from one home. So do
Sure.
you have any sort of like communication or brand guidelines or any sort of like nucleus, if you will, for what you would define to be your brand?
Yes. My sense is, I recognize utility. And you can get the same utility out of a Rolls Royce as you can get out of
Hmm.
a Ford, or a Chevy.
Hmm.
The utility is mobility, and I get that.
Sure.
But there's a reason why people will buy a Rolls Royce
Hmm.
versus a Chevy or a Ford. And
Hmm.
I would like to appeal to that audience that is looking for a very customized, personable, one-on-one experience. The
Mm.
wellness
Hmm.
industry is stated to be a $4.5 billion
Hmm.
industry. And I
Hmm.
really want to tap into that. I want to tap into people who are used to going to luxury spas
Hmm.
or investing in experiences and are willing to
Hmm.
now invest in something that can really help them. So, for
Sure.
example, I had a client whose partner was dying, whose partner of 50 years was dying. And so they flew me out to their ranch, and I was with them for a period of time through which, the actual transition took place. And I was there for
Hmm.
the family to console them.
Hmm.
And so those are the type of experiences that I think people will find themselves in, and they
Hmm.
don't know that something like this doesn't exist unless I'm out there saying, "Hello, this is who we are, and this is what we do."
Got it. So I think that's really amazing. I think what's also I think one of my friends in New York, I'm trying to think of the right term for what she called herself, but it was almost like God, I want to call herself, I want to say she was kind of like a I'm going to get this wrong here, but it was not a grief counselor, but her job
Hmm.
was specifically um, to help people through transition
Hmm.
between life and passing on and to the next stage.
Yeah.
And it was such an incredible spiritual, emotional gift that she was able to do to be able to help these people through this process.
Yeah.
Not to
Yeah.
go off tangentially, but
No,
you
I
know,
get it. There
yeah,
are doulas that help with bringing people onto the
mm,
planet, and there are the birth doulas, and there are also people that help transition with people that are
yeah,
making their move to the next realm. So yeah,
yeah.
there's a
I
space for
think
that.
it's really, absolutely, it's really quite beautiful.
Yeah.
So to kind of take it back to like the communication thing, my quick kind of assessment, looking at your website and kind of our conversation is, speaking to you, there's a lot of like heart and soul and empathy and like kind of emotion and care, if you will, thoughtfulness and care. Um, the website feels kind of flashy
Yeah.
for that.
Hmm.
It feels it feels like you're selling a corporate service
Okay.
rather than like an emotional conversation or like a kind of like you're like I'd almost want for you to be selling like the essence of who you are, right? So
Okay.
it's like it's less about gold, it's less about um you know, beautiful, attractive people's photographs on your website,
Hmm.
doing cool things or being more active. I see it as almost like, you know, you are almost like a secret to someone's, potential success or happiness.
Right.
And I also imagine that kind of secret or that kind of um, tool in someone's toolbox would also be quite expensive. It's a luxury tool. It's also
Right.
probably a word of mouth tool. It's
Hmm.
probably not something where, high net worth individuals are going to see a Facebook ad about confidentiality and
Hmm.
trust and connection, and they're going to trust that that person who's blasting that out to everybody actually kind of
Right.
holds the secrets, right?
Ah,
So
I
so
appreciate that.
it's almost like the way you're thinking about marketing needs to be shifted. It's almost like you need to say, if I'm selling a 99-cent product and the job of that product is to be utility based and it's to get into the hands of everybody, then I'm going to do a lot of mass marketing advertising because I see
Hmm.
this product fitting with everybody. If you're selling
Right.
a high-end, bespoke, let's call it luxury type of experience or product, then it's like the moment someone calls themselves cool, they're not cool anymore.
Right.
The moment that I'm like, yeah, I'm luxury, then you're like, no, you're not. Like, people don't say that. Like, it's
Right.
like you just call bullshit. So,
Right.
um, so I would rethink kind of your approach
Okay.
to communication, to marketing, and I would tone it down a lot, and
Hmm.
I would really emphasize the emotional benefits that
Okay.
having someone like you or someone else on your team could offer them. So I'd focus
Sure.
on I'd focus on the benefits of it. I would tone down the visuals. I would, change kind of maybe the color palette, at less
Hmm.
gold, more simple.
Okay.
Um, and what I'd really focus on is like testimonials, even
Yep.
if they're anonymous. I'd focus on testimonials and I'd really, look to your existing client base to help you with referrals to
Right.
new customers. And so I would
Right.
almost think about some sort of, referral program with your
Okay.
existing client base so that they can actually
Ah.
help you get more customers.
Oh, that's great because that has already happened. Not in terms of the referral program, having something set up like that, but I have had clients refer me to other clients,
And you
and
want more of that,
yeah,
like that's
yeah.
like, because if you want this to be the hard thing when a company is like, almost when anyone's like, yeah, I want to fly under the radar because I'm not a service for everybody,
Hmm.
right? But how do I get in front of my target customer? The question always comes down to you have to kind of meet your customers where they are and kind of
Right.
where their purchasing intent is. And like with something so personal, I imagine that that's more going to be like, a friend of a friend is like, hey, you need to check out, this person and see what they're up to, um, and kind of treat it a little bit more like a best kept secret. Now,
Ah,
the other things that can be useful for you are it's not going to be, giving away free services to get people in. I think it's going to also be around the company that you choose to keep,
okay.
and kind of who your circle of friends are,
Yeah.
and making sure that the people who are in your network and in your community really know the work that you do,
Okay.
and that they can also easily talk about it. So when I'm thinking
Right.
about these networks, I'm thinking they can be global networks, local networks, but networks of people who are kind of in your same, let's say, same emotional and intellectual disposition,
Okay.
like networks of people who you'd be like, yeah, like that's my crew, or these are people that I really like, and that,
Right.
and they're all kind of succeeding within their own areas and they're at your same level, right? It's
Yeah.
like a peer group,
Okay.
and I think that through developing a more active peer group, you'll also be able to get some better referral business. Um,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't post up on a Facebook group for a free session. I wouldn't do any sort of marketing or advertising ads. I would, spend your time focusing on a rebrand, and then also maybe something that's more, that allows you to connect more with other people. And then
Okay.
I think from there, you'll start
Yeah.
to get a more influx of demand. And then I'd also start to think about on the operational side, um, I would start to source other people on your bench of who you want to be on your team. And
Right.
it takes a lot longer to source good people than I think a lot of people give credit to. It's like
Hmm. Hmm.
hiring's a mother, like hiring is hard. And I would spend some time interviewing people and figuring out, like, if you do have the demand where you need to have one, two, three more people, do you know who
Yeah.
those people would be?
Right.
Like what
Gotcha.
happens if all of a sudden you have 1,000 people want to work with you and you're like, oh my God, it's just me. Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Like how do you
Right.
kind of best enable your back end
Hmm.
to match with the demand that you want to receive?
Gotcha. And what really I resonate with, well, I resonate with all of it, but there's an element of luxury that connects with exclusivity.
Mhm.
And there's an element that when you were just speaking about, not blasting this from the rooftops, yelling it from the rooftops, but making this more of like an exclusive play, it really undergirds that luxury appeal that I still want to have even without the gold and the glitter.
Yeah, and that's where you sort of think about luxury as like a feeling, It's
Yeah.
like what does luxury feel like? Well, it
Right.
feels like not something that everyone has, so you feel special.
Hmm.
Sometimes, and there are different kinds of luxury. Some people want the name brand, other people want the quality, and
Yeah.
that's kind of where you get to decide what kind of customer you want.
Right.
Like what
Right.
kind of customer do you want to come in your doors?
Yeah.
If you want someone that's, flashy name brand, then guess what? They're probably going to go to a counseling or coaching company that's big and flashy. They might
Yeah.
they might hire someone from like the Tony Robbins team,
Right.
right? Because he has a team
Hmm.
of coaches, right? And that's very
Right.
name brand, right?
Hmm.
Um, so, you're not Tony Robbins, right? So
Right.
by virtue of that, it's like you then have to win on the quality and kind of it being a better kept secret. And like
Yeah.
maybe there is some methodology and process that you bring to your team that other practitioners of this method may not be using, or may not be doing
Right.
in the same way. So you also have to
Right.
ask yourself, like, what is
Hmm.
it about you in
Yeah.
particular, um, that makes you so damn special,
Hmm.
and that like
Hmm.
makes and that makes people wanna sign up with you. So Corey,
Got it.
any other questions or anything else? I know we're only got a few more minutes here, but
Yeah.
happy to answer anything else.
No, I just I'm always looking for other perspectives, but not only that, but informed perspectives. And so I
Mm,
really appreciate your feedback and your sense of you've given me something to think about in terms of there's not just one way to sell luxury. And I think conventionally my I'm wired to think, oh, it's Ferrari flashy with the gold, that
mm,
gold gloss. And what you're giving me in your feedback now is giving me something to think about um, how to present this in such a way that it's going to meet the people that it's going to ultimately help. And that doesn't mean it has to
mm.
be big, flashy, and glittery, and that there are different ways to appeal to the luxury. The luxury audience is diverse, just as the world is. So that has
Yeah.
been very helpful.
Awesome. I'm happy to hear that. You know, one of my favorite, and this is like a handbag example, so this will mean nothing to you, but there's there's a company out there called Velextra, and if you just take a look at Velextra versus, I don't know, Gucci, right? Velextra has been around for probably as many years as Gucci has. There are no logos on their product. It's very clean, very simple. No, only the people who
Hmm.
know, right?
Mm,
It's not like a Gucci bag where someone, everyone knows, right? It's like
right.
Tony Robbins. Everyone knows like who that is, right? It's so mass market.
Yeah.
But Velextra, what I love about it is that, only the people who know, and people who don't know, and it doesn't really matter because it's personal, right? And it
Yeah.
becomes like a best kept secret, right? And it
Right.
becomes one of those things where you have personal pride in the service or the product that you're using. It doesn't need to be name brand in order for it to have value. In fact,
Wow.
sometimes not being name brand creates more value.
Wow. Okay. That's the highlight right there,
Yeah.
Sayama. Thank you. Thank
You're
you. This has
so
been
welcome,
wonderful.
Corey. Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time and energy. It was wonderful to get to a chance to chat with you. Congratulations on your success and what you've done so far. I hear you on growing a business and being a solopreneur and hiring more people. And I got to tell you, the more people you get on your team, the harder and the easier it becomes. So be careful what you wish
Yeah.
for.
Right. Right. Oh, well, I'm ready. I got my boots on.
Amazing. Have a wonderful holiday weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye.
Bye bye.